The first cold weather item on today's list is an example of an item whose name has become almost synonymous with the brand that popularized it. I'm talking, gentlemen, about the Barber jacket, also known as the waxed cotton jacket. Now, the company Barber did not invent the waxed jacket, but they did help make it popular, especially by providing this to the royals and to the elites of England, for hundreds of years, and making this jacket and perfecting it and really creating, I think, a timeless piece that every man should consider adding to his wardrobe, especially if you live in an area that gets a lot of rain, that gets a little bit of snow, and you want something that's going to look strong, going to be durable, and will honestly last your entire lifetime. Now, as the name implies, the jacket is made with a cotton material that has been treated with wax, and that's what gives it its properties to be able to resist water and to be able to keep the wearer warm in rain, snow, and high wind. Now, over the last 75 years, with the advance in plastics, we've seen really lighter weight jackets come in, and they do an even better job of actually resisting water and wind. But the Barber jacket has them beat when it comes to durability. Seriously, if you're going to be out in the woods, you're going to be going up against thorns, bush, then this is something that, it's definitely going to be able to take that licking, and it's going to look good because you get to reapply that wax every season, sometimes multiple times a season, if this is an everyday wear. And that's why I've got this item on the list, because it's a lifetime item that you will treat, that you will have to work on, but guess what? All of a sudden it becomes better with age. It develops character, and that's why for so many men and women that have owned them for years, it becomes just a piece of almost who they are. Now, the characteristics here are going to be two large ammunition pockets, because this jacket was historically used for hunters, people that just needed those big pockets to be able to carry things around. It's also usually going to have two warming pockets up near the chest. You can find this jacket made by a wide variety of brands nowadays. That being said, you can still get the original, I think, for a reasonable price. And again, a big part of it is because of the material. It's inexpensive to make them. On the other hand, this item, because of the material, especially if they use authentic materials, can cost you a bit more. The cold weather item I'm talking about, gentlemen, is the tweed jacket. Now, the tweed jacket has a storied history, and that storied history is in the fabric itself. And when I say tweed, let me clarify. There's all different types of tweeds out there. One of the most common ones you're going to see is Donegal tweed. Now, Donegal tweed is relatively easy to match. With the large amount of white in this is going to be a fabric that I find really is pretty versatile. It is great in a jacket. It's going to be a medium weight, so it will keep you warm. And you can find a number of companies selling this type of tweed jackets, so the prices aren't going to be too bad. Next up, we've got herringbone, and this is going to be one of the most common patterns we see here in the United States. So if you happen to go into a Brooks Brothers, or if you're just looking at a modern manufacturer and what they're selling online, you're going to see a lot of herringbones out there. What I like about this fabric is it's relatively affordable, and you're going to find it in a wide variety of different colors and combinations, from grays to greens to brown. And from a distance, herringbone looks like a solid, so it's going to be easy to match, but when you get up close, the pattern is what makes it distinctive, and it's one of my favorite fabrics for a tweed jacket. Now, there are tweed fabrics that are harder to match, and ones I'm not going to recommend for your first jacket if you're considering this. Those are going to be houndstooth, shepherd's check, or cheviot. I personally think they're beautiful fabrics, but one of the things I talk about is interchangeability, and if you're going to invest in a tweed jacket, I want you to get something that you can wear the heck out of. And with that being said, let's now talk about perhaps the most famous tweed fabric, in which most people think of tweed, but most people don't know the story behind this, is Harris tweed. Now, Harris tweed is going to be expensive because it's got this rough surface. It is a very tight, heavier weave, thick, strong, and most importantly, only tweed that's woven in the outer Hebrides can have this title. So basically, it's a controlled fabric that's beautiful, but that does drive up the cost. Having said all this, gents, having a tweed jacket in a brown or in a gray, even a green, you're going to find that it's going to match so many things in your wardrobe. I love wearing them with jeans, maybe a nice dress shirt. All of a sudden, yes, it's a dress, it's not a suit, but I'll tell you, you can find more situations to wear this in, and it looks amazing. And when you walk in a room, you look like the man in charge. When you go to a brunch, all of a sudden people are looking and treating you with respect. The next cold weather item on today's list, the brogue boot. Now, first up, you need to understand the different types of brogues out there. You've got quarter brogues, which are going to have the perforated leather right there on the front. Next up, you've got the semi-brogues. They're going to be very similar to the quarter, but going to have that medallion right there on the front. Next up, you've got long wings. These are distinctive because of the curve right up there at the toe. And if you look, it goes all the way the length of the boot or the shoe. And the last common style is going to be full brogues, also known as wingtips. Now, if this was a warm weather video, I'd maybe talk about the shoes, but let's talk about boots. That extra protection around the ankle really moves these into the realm of cooler weather wear. Now you can tell right here with the curvature, this is a pair of full brogues or wingtips. And because of the suede, the textured look, these are perfect for the cooler temperatures, and it just invokes the season. Now, if you know the history on these type of shoes, you know that these go back hundreds of years. They were marsh shoes. The idea is that you would wear these in a wet environment, and because the holes used to go all the way through, whenever your shoes would fill up with water, the water would be able to drain out, and in theory, your feet would dry quicker. Now, to me, that sounds incredibly uncomfortable, but I will say I'm happy for the style that it stuck around, because this textured overall look just gives it a higher and more refined feel whenever you match it with anything in your wardrobe. Gents, if you want to step up your style efficiently and effectively, look for a proven path. A curriculum that saves you from confusion, from bad information, and a supportive community that can help keep you going. Well, gents, check out our community over at school. I'm putting the link in the description, and you can find it over at school.com/RMRS. I've now set up this community so that you've got the option to go through our style system. This is, in my opinion, because I built it, the finest men's transformation course on the planet. And yes, we cover style, but we also talk about communication. We cover mindset, everything covered in this community. So again, check it out. There's a free trial, no risk for you. But don't wait, because every day, guys, you don't take action, well, it's just another day wasted, you not living to your full potential. So again, use that link in the description of today's video, or just go over to school.com/RMRS. Next up, let's talk about corduroy. Yeah, you wore that fabric when you were a kid, and that's too bad that you haven't worn it since, because this is, especially in trousers, one of the easiest ways to create a feeling of texture in your style. And if you know your history on corduroy, you know that you've got 7 wales, you've got 11 wales. You're occasionally going to see something in between there, but in general, a man, you want to be gearing towards the 11 wales. It's just going to look a little bit more refined. It's a little bit more comfortable. And when it comes to warmth, you got that napped surface, which does a good job of trapping air. It's going to be warmer than a pair of jeans, and oh so much stylish if you choose the right color. Might I suggest a dark, rich brown, maybe a dark green, maybe even going with a dark blue. All of a sudden, you're going to find that goes with a lot of the same outfits that your jeans go with, but all of a sudden, you're stepping up the style. Now, the key here is to find the right pair of corduroys, because you're going to find some cheaper ones out there which are going to have a bad fit. No, you want to get something that fits and complements your build. Make sure you get the fit, maybe spend a little bit more money, go into a higher end menswear store, try these on, and if that's not for you, a couple other options are going to be Cavalry Twill, or maybe look to moleskin. Both of these, again, are going to have a napped surface. They're going to have and what I mean by that is it's a 3-dimensional surface where you've got a little bit of extra fabric that's been treated to come off, so it's going to make it nice and soft. Another gray flannel trousers, one of my personal favorites. Guys, by stepping up your trousers, again, jeans are great, but put those in the closet. You know, they're fine during, the fall, but when it starts getting cool, bring in these ones. And you don't need to go with any patterns. You don't need to go with outlandish colors. Wear them in the colors you're already wearing, but that texture is what's going to help them stand apart. Now, the next item on this list has only been around since the 1960s. That being said, it became popular very quickly, especially in the shooting crowds in England. Basically, there was an American colonel that had retired over in the UK, and he developed this quilted jacket. Now, the original jackets were called Huskies, and they were using a material that had been developed for the U.S. Air Force. So this wasn't, it was just simply a functional jacket that was incredibly lightweight. But because of the quilting, because of the insulation, because of the air it trapped, it kept the wearers warm. Now, initially, Stephen Gillis, that American colonel I was talking about, him and his wife were making these jackets, but it got out of control and they started a factory that was then acquired by an Italian company. But the original Huskies were very square. They really didn't have much of a shape to them. It was all about the function, but people didn't care. Nowadays, though, you're going to find them in a variety of colors. They're going to be more form-fitting, but that original quilt is going to be there. That is the classic pattern we're looking for. And again, this is great, especially if you fit it a little bit closer to the body. It can be used as a layering piece, or it can be worn as outerwear. And gents, if you enjoyed today's video, you are going to absolutely love this one that I got set for you. Boom, right here. Check it out. I got you covered. Oh yeah, right there. Click it. Good video. I promise. It's good. Yeah.